If you've just started playing chords on piano, or if you've been playing for a while, there's a lot to learn from songs like 10,000 Reasons. In this video, we're going to talk through not only how to play the chord progression for this song, but also some things that will make playing chords on piano easier for other songs as well. Now you can continue watching here, but if you click over to the blog post, you can download a PDF that will help you through this tutorial. Hi everybody, my name is Peter. Thanks for joining me at OurWorshipSound, where we're working to make worship keyboard technique and technology easier. As we look at this song, 10,000 Reasons, we're going to talk through the chord progression, but one thing you should know about me is I'm never really all that interested in teaching you how to play just one song, because I want to help build some connections to how you can make other things easier as well. So one of the first things we want to do, the most important step we can take, is to clearly identify the key of the song that we're playing in. So as we look at the chord progressions for this, we're going to use something called a chord reference sheet that's available for download at the blog post. It's going to help you walk through this, and it's very useful for other songs as well. But as we look at this, we're going to take a look at the chords that are in 10,000 Reasons and see if we can identify one key that has all the chords that we need from this song. So our first chord for 10,000 Reasons is C. So as we look at this, we might think that we're going to be playing in C major. We're going to see if that holds true or not. So we see that there are three keys that have that C major chord in them. Our next chord is G. So now we see that there are a couple of keys that have both those chords in them. Then as we add D, now we see kind of a clear leader, a front runner emerging. And then as we put our last chord in there, E minor, we see that there's just one key that has all four chords that we need. And that's the key of G major. So we've identified the key for this song as G major. And we're going to talk about some of the benefits of that. But as we look at the first note of each of these chords, as we read it across from left to right, it's going to give us the scale for this. So our scale for G major is G, A, B, C, D, E, F is sharp, and G. So all white keys, all naturals, except for that F is going to be sharp. So as we connect things back to the scale, there's some things we're going to learn from that. This chord reference sheet has all the notes for these chords, and that's one way that we can get a hold of all these chords. There's a better way, I think, that we can do that, and that is to kind of go off the scale. So as we look at this, to find the notes for the C major chord, you can just put your thumb on C, skip a scale note, play the next one, skip a scale note, play the next one, and you have your C major chord. Let's do that for G, same process. We have our G major chord. Back to D, skip a scale note and play the next one. Remember that F is sharp. And we have our D major chord. Our next chord is a minor chord. And instead of actively changing and trying to figure out what that third note needs to be to make it minor, all we have to do is the same process. Just skip a scale note, play the next one, and that will lead us into playing our E minor chord. So that's one advantage of knowing, connecting with the scale. We can build our chords off of that and know what we're doing. Okay, so now the other thing that we want to do in connecting this is to figure out how these chords relate within the key. Because we're not just playing a C chord and a G chord and a D and an E minor. We want to figure out the numerical relationships in that as well. So we know that we're playing the chord that's built off the fourth note of the scale. And then we're playing a chord that's built off the first note of the scale, and then the fifth note of the scale, and then the sixth note of the scale. And the more you do that, and the more the songs you play and think of it in terms of those numbers, the more you're going to hear the relationships between the chords. And you get to the point where you'll listen to a song and you might not know exactly what key it's in, but you'll know, hey, that sounds like the 4 chord, and that's the 5 chord, now that's the 1 chord. And you'll begin to develop the ability to play by ear. That's how it works. And then the other thing that gives you the advantage of this is, say you're going to play 10,000 Reasons, and you know it in the key of G, but then you need someone who can't quite sing the high notes, and so they need you to play it down a step in F major. And so instead of thinking every chord I need to take it down a step, you can just think, well, I know that this was the 4 chord in G, so I just need to play the 4 chord in F, and then the 1 chord in F. And so it makes it easier to transpose if you know those numerical connections. All right, so the next step I would probably have you do if you were just starting out is to not worry about playing full 3-note chords, but play what we call mini chords, okay? And instead of playing all 3 chords, you can just play 2 of them, like the first note and the second note of the chord. It's actually the third of the chord is what we call it, or the first and the fifth. Okay, and that has a couple of advantages. One is that there are fewer notes, so it's easier to play. And the other one is that it helps you understand that you don't need to play a lot of notes to get good sounding chords. You can get good results with just a couple of notes in your chords. In this video, we're going to go ahead and skip to playing 3-note chords and finding out how this works together. So first of all, let's get what we call the root position chords under our fingers. We're going to play C, then jump down to play G, jump back up to play D, and then E minor. Okay. As we go through this, I'm going to play just the roots of the chords in my left hand. So we'll keep it pretty simple that way. Let's go ahead and kind of talk through this progression really quick, because it's not one pattern that goes all the way through this song. There's one thing that's maybe a little bit different and more of a challenge for this song, is it's not one repeated pattern that goes through. It changes it slightly, just a little bit every time. So in the chorus, we have C, G, D, and then E minor. And then after that, it's the same, except we don't go to the E minor chord. C, G, D. Then we go back to C, but this time we go to E minor. Then O, my soul. And we walk it up from the 4 chord to the 5 chord to the 6 chord. O, my soul. And then we finish with C, D, G. Let's try playing through it once with the music. Root positions. 1, 2, 3, C and G, D, E minor. Now back to C, G, D, C, E minor. Now walk it up. C, D, finish on G. You could go back through that a couple times and get comfortable with the chords. Another thing that's a little bit different is the timing tends to vary as we go through this song as well. So a couple little challenges there. But instead of going through and really getting in this all in root position, you notice that there's a lot of jumping around. And to avoid that, we want to use what are called inversions. And that simply means that we're going to play the notes of these chords in a different order, so we don't always have to play them in root position. So one of the techniques that we can use to figure out a smoother chord progression and which inversions we should play are to identify one note that we want to keep in the same spot. Since we're playing in the key of G major, we're going to keep our G in the same spot, or we're going to kind of base our chords around this G, and we want to put it at the top of our chords. And this is just kind of arbitrary, but this is not a bad way to do it, just to take the home note of the chord, or of the key, and put that at the top of the chords. It's one way to do it, okay? So as we look at these chords, we're going to start with C in root position, and we have our G on top of our chord, so we're going to keep that there. We're going to play C in root position. And then when we go to play G, G is on the bottom of the root position G, so we need to take these notes and shift them down here. So then G is on the top of our chord. So to go from C to G, we're going to move our bottom 2 notes each down 1. C to G. Our D chord does not have a G in it, so we're going to have to figure out which note appears closest to G. F sharp is a half step away from G. A is 2 half steps away from G. So we're going to go to this F sharp. Coming from G, we're going to go down to F sharp. We'll keep this D here, and then we need to drop down to A. So we have our D, F sharp, and A. We just have to shift our A there. So again, coming from G, we're going to have G, and then D. We'll practice this a couple times. G, D. And then to go to E minor, we're back to another chord that has a G in it. So we're just going to shift this B down here and play this inversion of E minor. So D to E minor. Let's go through that progression one more time. So we have C, keep the pinky on G, shift down a little bit for D, and then back up for E minor. And we'll go ahead and use all those inversions for those chords as we go through this whole chorus. Let's try this. 2, 1, 2, 3, Bless the Lord, my soul. 2, 3, sing like never before. Walk it up. From there, we can talk about things like altering our chords. We get a little bit different sound. And then we can add some rhythm techniques as well, like. So these are steps that are all laid out in something I've put together called Fluent Piano Chords. It's a video course that you can check out. And it just kind of walks you through all the steps from just complete beginner on piano all the way through to basically being able to play any song by chords on piano. Just giving you a really good foundation for everything that you're going to need to know for that. In the meantime, if you want to make sure that you download this chord reference PDF, it's going to help you out a lot. Just help you build a lot of connections. So I hope that was helpful. If this video was helpful for you, go ahead and click that thumbs up button if you like. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment below. And be sure to click the subscribe button so you'll be notified when future videos come out. Be sure to stay tuned at the end of this video as well. There'll be another video linked that will help you develop your chords further. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.